All right, I got a dream. I remember when I was probably about 6 years old, or 7, give or take, and I'm 27 now, and it sticks with me hardcore. I was in the hospital for something. I got sick when I was a kid, and I was laying in bed, and I was probably facing toward a long wall in the hospital because the windows, it was 3 or 4 windows to my left, and I could see the rooftop because it was like a rooftop level thing. I could see the gravel and the air conditioner units of a roof and the dingy sky of Huntington because I knew I was in Huntington, and I fell asleep that night because they'd come in and took blood, and I woke and I was sleeping, and my dream was I was riding in a helicopter. And I was, I had the headset on and the gun was in front of me and stuff like that, and I had to pee. So as we was flying around in this helicopter, I stood up to piss out the window. I mean, out the door, We was probably in a Huey, obviously. It's got a door on it, And I'm pissing out this window. Now, grant you, I'm like 5 or 6 years old. Or 7, give or take. And I'm just pissing away over the jungle of probably most likely Vietnam. I'm just pissing away. I wake up because I feel wet, and I wake up in the hospital bed, and I pissed in bed because I was pissing out the window of a helicopter in my dreams. And I woke up, and my mom was gone because I don't know why, and the nurse came in. I remember she's probably our age now, little sweet thing, and she's like, no, she was a candy stripe because I was a kid. And I said, I hate to be embarrassed. I mean, I think I went to bed. She's like, oh, it's okay, And they cleaned me up and everything before my mom and them got back, and I never did tell them I went to bed that day. And that's true shit right there, straight up. All right, I don't really want to detail the things leading up to it because I just, it's kind of a thing. But this dream was a reoccurrence for a long ass time, and it had like episodes to it, and it was really weird. And it's true shit, gospel right here. It's like a Italian town on a hill. And it was like an abandoned mansion, okay? Like something I've done before in my life that completely failed. I don't really know. It was a really dark, and picture like if you've been to any of these coal towns in West Virginia, Kentucky, Virginia, stuff like that, they build on a hill. It's like an Italian town or somewhere in Germany upon the Alps or, something you'd build uphill right on the verge. And this town was nothing but steps and just roadways, just very small roads. And I stayed in this house. And, oh man, at the time, a death of a really good companion that I had in life, she had died, and this house was set like, it had like 2 garages, but it was on a hill. The house come from ground level way over the mountain, and it was like kind of rotted away. And I'm walking through this house, and there's a coffee table sitting there. So I sit down, and James is there, and this is where the James things of cocaine comes in. James was bitching about something happened with cocaine. I don't know. I guess because that was the day I'd left. Damn, I can picture it, but I can't really describe it. In my head, there's this damn town, like it's like a villa in Italy or some shit like that, and the houses are uphill, like rooftop to window, and a scaled up like a cellular bar. And pretty much one dream, and I seem like I've stayed in this little area in life for a while in my dream world, but I remember taking beer on a dolly or a truck or whatever people want to call it, the things you pack shit. When they're heavy, it's got 2 wheels on it, and you hold it down like through a favela, whatever you want to say, the cobblestone roads, and I was going downhill, and there was this little bar, as open window, something you'd probably find on like Skyrim or God of War or something, with no windows or nothing. And she's like, hey, yeah, I'm glad you brought this to me and shit. I said, okay, well, that's really cool. Well, here you go. And then I remember turning around with that, and there's a courthouse on this hill next to the house I'm in. And I'm always in this damn house, dude. It's like old, it's hard to describe. It's like being on the Titanic. When you see the Titanic, you got these old turn-of-the-century windows, and it's cast iron inlays and shit. And the floor on one section of this house is rotted away, but I always find myself in this house. I know this whole story I'm talking about is bouncing around, but this is the way it works. And I I really know one right here. There's a outside of this house is like a cobblestone gravel thing, and there was a brown, white, and I hate these fucking cars, a brown Monte Carlo, probably 75, and she was putting shit in the trunk of the fucking car, and the trunk was open, and I walk outside, and there she is, leaned up against the trunk. She grabs me by my face with both hands. I swear to God, I can feel it, and she says, "It'll be all right. You need to relax. Just roll with it." I swear to God, that's what she said. I was like, just roll with it. Okay, well, that's cliche as fuck. And then the trunk shut, she got in, and I turn around and walk back into this rotten house. And then there's a table in this house. As I walk through the door, and I shut the door behind me after that, there's a table, and there's an iPad, and a random pot of coffee. Just a whole pot of coffee sitting there. And James is sitting there at the end of the table with a pink Game Boy. And he looks at me and says, "Hey, man, you ready to go?" I was like, "Well, I reckon." "No." I said, "All right then." And I woke up. And I still have dreams about that goddamn house. And I can't picture that house. It's like something you'd see in like a Addams Family house, but not with the peaked roofs, but with the cast iron bars, like something 17th century, give or take. But it's on a hill. And I think that's the same house I had dreams about years ago, where I got stabbed by the bitch in the cell. All right, okay, this one really up. The dream started, I was in probably a Victorian house. It was dingy, maybe a dark gray maroon paint with like the really Art Deco trim around it, and it's like mahogany cut with like fucking horses and shit like that in it. And there was this cell room. It had like iron bars that slid back and forward, and there was this demon kind of chasing us through the hallways of this house. It's a very, very big house. Might as well be a manor or something that rots away because no money's around. And I run into this thing, and there's this girl sitting on this thing. She's a really pretty girl. Cannot picture her face or nothing like that, but her hair was jet black, which I'm a sucker for that shit. And she stands up and says, "Oh my God, something's happening. You need to help. There's something after us." And I was like, "Well, okay." Something like that. I mean, it's not completely perfect, but this is perfect. I reach up and grab the bar door, and I shut the bar door on this cell kind of thing in this old Art Deco house with the red and gold carpet with inlay roses on the ground. And it was right next to a stairwell, because I can picture it in my head right now, because the stairwell went down, so we must have been like to the left or right of a stairwell. And I turn around, and she stands up, and she sticks me in the chest with a knife. Like, as soon as I turn around, I look her right dead in the fucking eyes. Green eyes and all. And she sticks me right in the fucking heart, and I feel it go through my fucking chest. I fall to the ground, I stare up at the ceiling, and I wake up, and I fell. And that fucked with me for about 2 days after I woke up. That was my waking up. I don't know, this probably happened around 15, 16, give or take. So, I had a dream one time. And it started when I was in, I would say, senior year, give or take. Probably 2013. I was in a field, and I was hoeing corn with my dad and my papa. And it was probably about a 90-degree day, because I could feel the heat in my dream. And I had shorts on, and I had boots on, which that probably looked quite great with ball shorts and shoes, but boots, I mean. And the sky was perfect. It was a vanilla sky with a great melancholy glow and hymn to the aurora of it all. And a crackle came across the sky, and it was a rocket. It was it looked like Saturn V, because I guess it was in my mind. I must have been watching some kind of documentary as I fall asleep. But the rocket turned to the left, and as it turned to the left, it broke up like you would at 15,000 mile an hour, and it came a big glow and a fireball. It cauliflowered smoke from the back of a dark gray grungy look of something that rose cold, and it impacted the hillside, and the trees looked like toothpicks flying through the air as you drop the packet that it holds. And the dirt, once again, the cauliflower of how smoke rolls across the ground, come chasing me across the ground. And then it was, and I woke up and there I was.